What's an advice that you would give a first time dad?
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing. It's gonna be okay. You got this, bro. Exactly, you're gonna be okay.
Guys, this is JD, episode 2 of Entre Papás. Right, and I have the honor, and this person, man, is family, right? And I have the honor to have across from me an amazing person that I've seen since we were kids, and I've seen him take the role of a boyfriend, right, to my sister, and then eventually going on to be husband, and then from there becoming a dad to three beautiful girls, right, 10, 6, and 3, right, and then on top of that, I've seen his career like blossom. He's now a CEO of an amazing school doing amazing things, right? So yeah, and I want to have this conversation with him. Allow him to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aaron Villela, and I'm grateful to be a part of this experience with you.
Yes, thank you, man. I appreciate you being here. Again, this is just a conversation between two dads trying to figure this out. I'm sitting here as a student, right? Because you've been doing this for a lot longer than I have, and you've been killing it. And I know I'm privy to a lot, but not to what's behind the doors when it comes to the responsibility that you have, not just with your wife or with your girls, but also the responsibilities that you hold outside your household. And I definitely want to have a conversation of that because, man, I didn't even know you were CEO. You know, which is crazy, right? But I guess let me start the conversation by this week, right? What has tested your patience more, work or family?
This week,
Yeah, just this week, just to kind
oh,
of.
that's a great question. Um, so this week has been a much lighter week
Okay.
because the kids are on vacation.
Okay.
So we're talking about a week in winter when they're on winter recess.
Yeah, yeah.
So because of that, work has been pretty still busy, still a lot of work, but I can't think of something that's tested my patience.
Mm, okay.
And I'm sure I can think of many examples where patience is tested,
Yeah, yeah.
um, at home or with family. So we're talking about this week specifically. I'm sure I can pull more easily some examples from patience testing at home versus patience testing at home.
Okay. Um, and even like as I'm hearing you say that, like I'm thinking about like your routine, right? So like, the is it harder? Like I guess is it harder to be a CEO or is it harder to put the girls to sleep? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, to put the girls to sleep. So I'm taking your question very literally, right? Putting the girls to sleep is challenging, depending on the occasion. But when they're tired, they're tired, so they're ready to go to sleep themselves.
Okay.
Um, so putting the girls to sleep, which is like work, I say work would be more challenging. But in terms of being father, being, if you look at that question more deeply,
Yeah.
I, I would argue that the life journey
Yeah.
of being a parent is much
Well, I mean, I guess just to kind of where I was trying to go with that conversation is, um, like, how do you switch off a CEO
harder.
and then come home
Mhm.
being dad? Like, is there something? Because me envisioning a CEO, sometimes that's 24/7. You know what I mean? Something happens for school that outside of school hours that falls on you or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or even a teacher calls you
Mhm.
outside of the school hours, right? And how do you that switch from this role to now coming home
Mhm.
right? And being with the girls and
Yeah.
putting them to sleep or just being see. And I ask this question just because, like for me, right? For example, my job, as soon as I leave the site, I'm off. It's nothing else. Unless there's a super emergency, which is very rare.
Mhm.
You know, not very rare, but it's rare. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
So how do you go from shutting that off to now being fully present with your daughters?
Yeah. Uh, it's um it's been a process because it's not something that I think I fully mastered.
Mhm.
I think I'm better at it today than I was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I would argue that structure helps. So being really organized about certain things
Mhm.
and having certain routines in place help. If that makes sense. And it's really about being as authentic as you can be in both spaces. Right? So at work, people know that I am a father. And I similarly would love to ensure that people who I'm in constant collaboration with at work witness that level of understanding and respect from myself towards them. And so that's what comes up right now. And I think that high pressure moments or really difficult seasons of work periods just demand a certain amount of energy, time, and you just have to plan for that. And you just have to prepare for that, and then just be ready to, when the unforeseen is approaching or approaches,
Yeah, yeah,
then you just have to inevitably address it at whatever
yeah.
it takes. Yeah. And so personally adapt to that. I think girls are already also aware that that will require I think me to just be at work more during this time or spending more time focused on whatever it is. So that's on one front. But on the other side, it's also just showing my family that, well, I guess I have the honor to say that the work that I'm doing is pretty special, right? So the commitment to the work feels a little bit different than if it was like a different type of organization.
Yeah, yeah,
Not saying that there's no, validity to that
yeah.
in other spaces, but that helps.
Yeah, for sure.
The mission drive is
Right.
feels a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah, because the work that you're doing is incredible.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Yeah.
the little that I know, because again, I didn't know you were CEO, but like the work that you guys are doing is incredible work, and it's almost revolutionary in the space that you're in.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's not me. It's not
yeah,
like it really is not. It's really about the people who laid the foundation for that organization before I joined
yeah,
that organization. And it's also the people who are this who is
yeah,
going. But ultimately on the family front, it's yeah, building like an infrastructure of understanding and compassion
right,
where it's not like, oh, you're doing this and therefore you neglect me.
right, right.
You know, that just requires constant like feeding the soil or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nourishing the soil.
Nourishing that, right, right.
Yeah, to avoid misunderstandings and misconceptions.
And one of the things that I focus a lot with my wife, right, is making sure that we're on the same page. So we're always talking. Always, and not in the sense like I'm talking to her every second or anything like that, but it's if there's I'm thinking something, if there's a miscommunication somewhere, or if this is what I'm planning to do, like there's always a constant like, hey babe, this is it. You know what I mean? This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm planning. This is what I'm thinking. you know, and I constantly try to build that for that reason. Where you know, I know like my job, there is sometimes where I'm not coming home till like just this what Tuesday last week, right? Like I got home almost at 9 o'clock p.m. And that's that I left my house at 5 a.m. You know what I mean? So like there's a constant, you know, communication with there. So that's why like I had some time because like I remember that like I just got home, said hi to everybody, and you know my boy was knocked out 2 seconds later. So I essentially missed putting him to bed, which is something so special to me, right? You know, so like I guess my question is you know like how do you navigate like that? You know, again, the pressures, the responsibility that you have from this role that's so important, CEO, right? So important, but like now navigating that, tucking the girls to sleep, you know, or like just I mean being there for these moments, you know, because it's hard for me. Like it hits me. Like I want to like I was able to talk to my wife that night, but like I was sad, you know.
Yeah, I can think of a few examples when I was. It feels like crushing.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Something
yeah.
that it's crushing because you feel like you missed out, but it's also crushing because you feel like they're missing
They're
out
missing
on
out,
you.
right?
And so
Right,
that guilt
right. And
and
like I think about like in your case, right? Like the girls they understand and they realize when you're not there. Like right now, my son just turned 1, so he's not gonna necessarily remember like this, right? Like the night that I missed. So, but like in your case, where you can't make a school play, you know, or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, how do you navigate that?
Good question. Yeah, it just happened actually. One of my girls had a show in Finland, and the best answer I can give is it's not a blanket answer. Like, I can't say that there's like a general go-to piece of advice with writers, um, because it's based on the circumstances at hand. It's based on you always trying your best to meet as many needs and as many expectations as possible, right? And if I go to this specific example, the question was asked, "Will you be able to make it?" And the answer is, "I'm not going to be able to make it to this one." Right? And that also doesn't mean that I don't want to do it,
Mm,
right?
mm, right.
And I know that in that conversation, for this specific example, my little one understood that I wanted to be
Yeah,
because I think that's really important. Right? I think about
right.
how many examples I have from my own childhood or my own adolescence. I can think of my siblings as well. How many times did I want
Right.
my father to be present for something, physically present
Right.
for something? How bad I may have wanted my mother to be physically present for something, but my mother was physically able to be present because she was available. Right? My father was working as a job. So but I had no doubt that my dad wanted to be
Right.
there
Mm.
and couldn't. Right? And so how that message gets conveyed
Wow.
is
You think of
really
that. Yeah, yeah,
important, right? Because at the same time, it's about everything is like a teachable opportunity. Because in this case, it's also about like, but remember that I'm going to be here for this, and I'm going to be here for this, and we're going to be here for this. So I have to strategize how to be able to make it to as many as possible. So because if I go to this one, I may not be able to
Right.
make it to this one. So I have to work those out.
Right.
And so that's easier to communicate with an older child,
Right. Then.
who can be a part of that process, so that they don't feel
He just
left
doesn't want to
out.
be there.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, out of the loop.
Right.
It certainly would be a little bit more challenging for the
youngest.
younger one,
Yeah.
right? Or like another example that I can think of is like a party that they may have in a classroom, right? They have a lot of those. And just practically speaking, I'm not dealing with parents. There's so many parents who can't attend all of those activities because they're working. Or they have responsibilities that they can't, fortunately change.
Yeah.
And so those, it's about, I think, showing them how much you desire to be there.
Yeah.
And teaching them, despite the possibility that you won't be there.
Right. Doesn't necessarily mean that
I don't, but also that they
Right.
that they should feel anything less, and like their experience shouldn't be compromised or sacrificed because of it, right?
Because of-
It's about also teaching them that resilience to be able to
Right.
embrace them as a truth. Otherwise, you run it like we can go in circles here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
then we can go into a cycle of like, okay, you're giving them absolutely everything,
Right. Right. See, and like, right, because my experience, right, like my dad wasn't there. Like, so like I'm thinking from that experience where it's like I gotta make everything,
Mhm.
because like I know what it feels like to not have that day.
Yeah.
And the reality is I can't. Like,
Yeah.
right now I'm trying to make as everything that I can make it to. I'm gonna be there.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But like I know as he gets older, where he starts getting into more like extracurriculars and all these other things, right? Like I know I'm gonna be missing out on things, right? And I never thought of that from your perspective that you're presenting here, where it's like you're involving them in the conversation of just because I'm missing this doesn't necessarily mean I'm missing out on your life, or I don't want to be there, or like I'm supporting, but I can't physically be there, So like I didn't necessarily think of that aspect to it, which is something that like I know I have to constantly remind myself that my son's childhood is not my childhood, So like I appreciate that. Did you always feel like you were gonna be a dad, or did you always want to be a dad?
I think so. I think I think so. Yeah, I can't think of like an explicit, thought or feeling. I was like, okay, I want to be a dad. I want to be a dad. But I think that there was like some deeper subconscious desire to be a father.
And like, I know like with my relationship with my wife, right? We started much later, right? So and, like you met your wife and my sister teens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you guys were young, right? So like I don't think it's necessarily a conversation or at least something that crossed your mind at that time, right? Like so I like me with my wife, so we were much older, we were having this conversation months into dating.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like let's get to the point.
Right. So but it like I remember ever since when I met you, right, we were at the Royal Rangers and stuff like that. Like even in those moments, like I can remember like we don't like anybody else. Right? Remember that?
Sure.
But I remember thinking like, oh, this guy is cool, because there was certain like leadership qualities that I liked, things that I saw. That this guy is cool, and like now that I like it's crazy. Like I didn't notice it then, obviously, but now that I'm having this conversation with you, it's like even then, like you can see that you had these things in you that now, like having girls and being the leader, of your household, like has blossomed, right? And like, did you ever think you were gonna be a girl dad?
No. That absolutely not. Not like that.
Mm.
I was in shock.
Like
Yeah,
I remember when with the second one, oh no, with the third, or the youngest,
yeah. I was like,
you were just
really?
yeah,
Oh my god! Because I was certain that that was it.
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
were not gonna have more than three.
Right, right.
So yeah,
How did
yeah.
that change you? Like knowing that you're a
Oh,
girl dad.
yeah. Oh
Like, can you
man.
think of anything like?
Mhm. Oh, it's a good question because I think, look, if I'm gonna be real, if I'm gonna be really honest and vulnerable, take with you and sincere, you know, it was. It's a bigger question. And the reason it's a bigger question is because we knew that our third, our third daughter was going to be the last, right? And we had lost the baby boy right before we even our third daughter. So that was complicated. Like it was like a complicated sense of emotions, or like complicated emotions, because on one hand, I was so filled with love, to know that I was gonna have three girls, and in a sense, it's like I guess like a certain dream come true that I didn't know I ever had. Um, and it was a sense of I don't know what to call it, but maybe like a sense of closure. Okay. To what could have been like a window of maybe it's like also like really odd thought that this guy gonna give us our baby boy type of thing. Like that thought, which it's a little bit out of uh, doesn't fully make sense, but that's sort of like the space that you're in. There's so much grief involved, while at the same
So
time, a lot of celebration.
do you think it would have been different though if you would have had the boy instead of?
Mm, different what's on.
Well, like if the youngest would have been a boy instead of.
Oh, I'm sure it would have been very different. Yeah, because
Do you think it would have been closer to it?
oh no, wait a minute. I misspoke. I misspoke because we did not lose the baby boy between our second daughter and third daughter. We lost the first before our first and second, right? So we had when we learned that we were having a daughter, right? Who became our second parent. That was one experience, right? And then we had a third, definitely not because we wanted to go for the boy or the girl. Yeah,
It was
that was
just
irrelevant.
it is what it is.
But learning that we were expecting a third child, we were like, okay. So
Keep in mind, it was also COVID time, so
yeah, that's it. That's true. So yeah, so when I reflect on all of this, I think there's a lot of mixed emotions and moments to process, right? Because you're processing the birth of a second child, the birth of now a third child, with that experience of having lost, the baby.
the grief that you're feeling, how
Yeah,
you're at the same time as you're feeling this grief, you're introducing life.
yeah, and that's because it was a pretty advanced pregnancy. It wasn't considered a miscarriage.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of them.
like the reason why I'm asking this question, like because I look at myself, right, and like I think God knows exactly what we need when we need it, and I think me having a son um, was exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've said this many times already. I wanted a girl. Like I've always wanted a girl. Yeah, I've always wanted a girl. So, but I knew my son was gonna be a boy. From various dreams and just like intuition or whatever it is. I honestly think it was God telling me. But like the reason why, and this is gonna sound selfish, right? But the reason why I wanted a girl is because I know how to deal with girls. I've been surrounded by girls my whole life, right? And I knew having a son, I was gonna have to face things that I did not want to face. You know, um, yeah, I know I was gonna have to face myself. I was gonna have to face scars. I was gonna have to face psychological things, right? And I was gonna have to face myself, right? In a lot of
So when you say that you knew how to deal with those, it wasn't that you're suggesting that the girls were the same that you
no,
want
no,
in
no,
them.
no, no, no.
It's
I'm
more about
saying
like
is
it felt safer
right,
to
right. Like, because I know not that I know how to deal with girls, but it's more like I'm softer with girls in the sense of like I can be more empathetic, right? So, but with another guy, for me, it's harder, right? To be that, right? So, like, and I think, and like I said, I know that there's also scars that I didn't want to heal. That like I was okay with them just being scars. You know what I'm saying?
or like confronting whatever
Yeah,
it was that you were gonna have to confront.
yeah, and like, dude, like this last, I want to say since I found out Jules was pregnant, like actually since he was born, and I knew he was gonna be a boy. Like I've cried the most I've ever cried. I've dealt with more of my insecurities that I've ever dealt with before. Right, where like so, there's a lot of things that I knew I had to deal with. Right, that fact that he's a boy. So like that in itself changed me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, that's why I asked this question, because yeah, like I knew I had to deal with a lot, and like, so that's where that question comes from.
Yeah.
So like, do you think parenting was gonna be like this?
Hmm. Um, Not all of it. Definitely not all of it. I think a lot of what I expected is there, was there. A lot of the beautiful
Yeah.
things of it. And it's I'm learning every single day as our daughters get older. As they get older, you're learning new things. You're
Yeah.
learning new skills because it gets more complex. It gets more complex. And to me, we are still people. We're still not little people, right?
Yeah.
But um, the conversations become more interesting. The conversations become more complex. So I don't know what to expect now. Like
Yeah.
I'm learning as we go. But I think a lot of it I expected, a lot of it I did not expect.
So, what's something that off the top of your head, like, oh crap, I did not expect this. Like, I'll tell you this, like, as simple as this may be for me, I did not expect that. Yo, dude, how much garbage I'm throwing out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I did
I
not
swear, I
expect
swear to God, every 10 minutes, bro, I'm throwing garbage out.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did not expect to be that sleepy during the early years
Mm,
of childhood.
okay.
And I think that to this day, I never sleep the way that I slept before I had
Or being,
children.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're no longer infants.
Mhm.
So that's something that comes up as an example. Another example that I can think of is I didn't expect to be so neurotic or focused on things that I did not care about before in life. What what school they were going to go to, right? What teacher they were going to have. Um, what are we feeding them?
Right.
Like these were things that
He's gonna
before
get
I
you.
was like, you know,
Like, yo, the only reason why we decided to buy the house where we bought it,
Yeah.
mind you, the kid wasn't even born yet. But we decided to stay there because the school district.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. You know, in the school district, like stuff that before becoming dad, it was just like, yeah, they're doing public school.
or doctor, like what doctor,
Mhm.
what's the type of medical attention,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
those details that if it were for me, it's not that simple.
Right, right, for sure. Do you remember? Like, I know the oldest now is 10. Do you remember that day that you were born?
Oh, yes.
Want to walk us through it?
It was yesterday. Yeah, so we went for a regular checkup where your system was her doctor, and she was the attorney. She was already within 39 weeks. So we went directly from the doctor's office to the hospital. The doctor told us we were going to be giving birth in the next few hours because his blood pressure was okay. There was protein in your urine, so he's telling me to to so we went to the hospital that evening and we were in the hospital until our first one was born the next day. And remember coming out after she was born in the operating room because she was a C-section baby. And yeah, it was. We did not know that we were going to have a bill.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was going to be a surprise. And we, yeah, I remember when the doctor in the operating room said it's a pregnant. And Yasti was all,
Yeah, yeah.
drugged up and, doing the procedure. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And she came out. And she showed us the baby before they cleaned her and
Yeah.
held her. Yeah. And I remember the first thing that I wanted to do was for her to have skin to skin with mom. And then, well, yeah, when they were finishing up whatever they needed to finish up, I came out to the waiting to the waiting room.
Yeah, it's where all
Told
that.
all of you that it was a book.
Thanks. Let me take that back a little bit, right? Because you guys went in for a checkup.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you felt where it was just like, oh crap, like this is just a checkup, and then you're like, oh crap,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be a dad today.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Like, do you remember what you felt? Do you remember?
Yes, a little bit. I think it was more like my MO is to go into operator mode. So it's okay. Was the bag? Was this? Was that? I think the bag, I forget if it was at home or if it was at the car. And I must have asked someone, here's a home to bring it because that was rarely. But I remember ultimately being, I felt calm. I think I felt pretty calm. And yeah, I don't know that I think I was more concerned about health.
Yeah.
That's what I was more focused on.
Right.
And fortunately, there's okay. I remember asking the doctor a lot of questions, what we what should we expect, what medications can she take, what can she not take.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the way that my nerves manifest.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
more of like a, I don't know, project manager role. And that's my coping mechanism,
Mhm.
which allows me not to focus on whatever other emotions I should be focusing or may have deep down.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of
Yeah.
what's served for me.
Yeah, I remember with Luca was also C-section, right? So I was in bed right when the water broke and it's that got to the hospital. They got 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And she was in labor for a little while till she couldn't. She wasn't dilated anymore, right? So they do emergency C-section. And let me tell you, when I was with her all up until they put it into the started prepping them for the operation, right? And as much as like as the dad, you don't do much in that.
Yeah.
You don't do anything. But my I guess my way of coping with everything was like if she needed pillow moved, right? I was able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So like that was my thing, right?
That's the role.
Right? That was my thing. Like that's if she whatever she needs water, getting her water, whatever it was. So like I was okay with that. But what really messed me up, right? What really messed me up was those 15 minutes. I'll never forget that. 15 minutes of not being next to her. They were prepping her for the operation and stuff like that. Where this was, I've only felt another time this helped.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
there was that time and another time when Luca was really sick. So like, have you ever felt that? Just
Helpless and like
in like being a dad or being a husband,
yeah. Oh, of course.
and you like take us through the time.
Sure. Wow. I mean, the one that comes to mind is our second one, who was born at 20. Right? I'm sure you can remember. We were, it was early in the pregnancy. I mean, it was 29 weeks, right? But about 3 weeks before, blood pressure started to go up. And it's a doctor. They said, yeah, blood pressure's going up. They gave her some medication. Never told us not to go away, not to, avoid traveling. So we decided to, she was feeling better. She was feeling fine after a few days. Her blood pressure was fine. And so we took a quick trip to Pennsylvania from New York, about 3 hours away, just to go watch a show and rent a hotel for
Like this, right?
yep. And we were with our daughter, and it was just the three of us. And we're in the middle of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where it's very rural. It's, it's farmland across. And comes out of intermission. I think it was almost at the end of the show. She's like, we have to go to the hospital. You know, spare the details.
Mhm.
We're in Lancaster, and I'm not from Pennsylvania. So I immediately call her doctor.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just started to Google best hospitals in Pennsylvania
Yeah.
and Philadelphia. So we had to travel from Lancaster to Philadelphia because getting from Lancaster to New York was going to be too far. So I think it was about an hour, like an hour and a half, right? In the middle of pouring rain. And it's us three in the car. And we get to UPenn Hospital. They admitted her in immediately. And they started to tell us, you're likely go into labor soon. I told you it was 3 weeks before 29 weeks. So at that point, we're talking about 26, 27
Yeah.
the pregnancy, which is really early,
Yeah. Yeah.
really.
Yep.
And the doctors started having conversations with me about, look, um, we may need to deliver because the wife's blood pressure is really high.
Yeah.
As a result of that, it's harmful to her, to both her and the baby.
Mhm.
So we may need to deliver.
Mhm.
And at the same time, this is not her team of doctors,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So we're in another state.
I would have been like, nah.
We're in another
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
It's not her doctors. They have no medical history.
Mhm.
And there were other pieces to this that make it even more complicated.
Mhm. Like each of these pregnancies, right? Because at this point, right, it's your second daughter, but you've already had 3 pregnancies, right? Each of them alone have been crazy, right? And stuff like that. Like, what in these moments where you felt helpless, what held you together?
Hmm. What helped? What helped me together? I want to give you like a real answer that's not coated with a bunch of cliches. So, look, I think that I'd be lying to you if my faith didn't play a role in it, right? If my like a surrender to knowing that at the end of the day, God's got my back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it.
And like, I don't feel like I understand what you're saying when it comes to it's a cliche, right? Because I think the same thing, but in the reality of that moment where I was telling you, right, those 15 minutes, I'll never forget that. 15 minutes, but in those 15 minutes that I felt so helpless was I clinged on to my faith. I remember having conversation with God, probably one of the most honest conversations I ever had, right? And like it's like I understand what you mean with such cliche, but I don't see it as a cliche because you refer to what you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would argue that that is a big part of it. And I also think that I try my best to not go into panic mode, right? So my own focus on the data, like focus on the facts, focus on the probability, you know. what can go wrong, and what will go well, what will not go well. And I think it was challenging for me in the first uh, period, like the first few moments of, okay, we're in the hospital. Our daughter can come in really early, right? At like 27 weeks. That there's so many risks that come at that point. But then we made the decision to go to New York and transition from the hospital that we were in to New York, and she had been there for 1 week and then 2 weeks, and then our daughter was born in 29 weeks. The reason she was born in 29 weeks was because ultimately they were struggling to control blood pressure, and at that point we made the decision, okay, now is the time. Right? Because doctors would have actually continued to try to keep her in for a little bit longer, but I could tell that she was tired. And we just said, that's it. Okay. We will be okay. 29 weeks is a safe zone. And so.
Right, because I think it's 28 after 28, right?
I mean, there's some births that come in earlier, around 24, 25. And there's just a lot of risk at that point, but still, what was holding us together was also just like being very attentive to the information that we had, like the research up to that point. And then just knowing the people that loved us were around us, that was also really important. So knowing that both sides of the family were present in different ways, showing up in different ways, even if they can't help in a certain, manner, they can help in a different way. So that was really important. But now that I'm thinking about it even more, we had right? We had our first job, right? And so she, I think, also was a glue at that point to help us get through and give us a sense of hope. I think a lot of factors come into play at that point.
Yeah. And like I said, like you refer to what you know, in those moments, and like you said, data, right? God, right? And stats, right? Family, and it's crazy because and I don't know if it's getting older or like you start realizing like the stuff that your parents taught you for the most part are what like kind of holds you together, right? Where my mother, not my case was, hey, keep God first, right? And as much as I probably strayed a bit right from that, like when it came to these moments where I felt so helpless, like even now where I'm not sure what to do, right? Like there's a grounding in the faith, right? There's a grounding in that. There's a grounding knowing that you got people in your corner that really care for you and show up for you, right? And whatever that showing up means for them too, right? And you start seeing that, noticing that. So like, in those moments, like I remember that, like I said, those 15 minutes was just me having honest, hard conversations with God. It was just really honest conversation. Of just like, dude, like I really don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything, but what I do know is I can trust you, that you got everything under control, right? And one of my favorite verses is always, everything worked good for those that are loved and are called according to God's purposes, right? And I love that verse because I always tell myself, I remember that too. I was telling God, like, I love you. I know I love you. I know I'm called, right? And so, like, I know everything works for the good, right? So I kept repeating that to myself, right? Now, in these different stages of, with the girls, every single one of them being in a different stage of life, right? And 10, 6, and 3, right?
And 4.
4, right? like each of them are going through a different thing right now, right? How how is one different from three? You know what I mean? Like how do you like how do you learn to navigate between all three of them?
Yeah.
Like, and even too, like learning to navigate with your wife, you know,
Yeah.
even that adds a factor to it.
Yeah, look, I think that ultimately I give it up for single parents because
I'm my respect. Just had always had my respect, but
yeah,
even more now.
because I don't know, I have no idea how
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
were able to
Mhm.
are able to parent
Right.
one child and there's more than one child.
Right.
More
Right.
than one. Because yeah, doing it with my wife,
Mhm. Dude, it's so much easier, right? When you got a partner
is,
there.
and there's
And it is that is hard already.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
but like
But
at the end of the
there's
day,
a
it's like your ride or die. It's like your
yeah.
best friend who you're
Right.
doing
Yeah.
it with,
Yeah.
and who's learning along with you, right?
Mhm.
And yes, to your question about like how to navigate it, or how do you ultimately like distinguish navigating something between one child and the other? Yeah, I think it's like an everyday learning experience, right? Like
Yeah. As I asked that question, I'm like, I don't think there's a cutthroat answer to that.
yeah, also because every child is
It's
different.
different.
And at the end of the day, it just comes down to humility and recognizing that you don't have the answers, and you can just try to apply what you learn, from the good things and the mistakes of your own parents, and from the mistakes that you make or you've made with the first child and then the next, and you still continue to make mistakes. A lot of patience, a lot of apologizing. That is one thing that I learned to do very early, and not be ashamed of it, but to really sincerely apologize to your child. And even when you were right about something, but they don't fully understand, that deliberate time to break it down, I think is also important. Because the last thing I want is for my children, and it's still, won't be perfect. Right? Like, for them to think that I'm imposing my authority or my power or my privilege onto them because I can, right? So, yeah, that is
Right. And like
that's a big deal.
yeah. And like I'm listening to you say that. It's thinking like either you said each child is different, right? Each of your girls are different. The way you approach them is different, right? And then like I said, beginning, they're each in a different stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of development, right?
Yeah.
You know, so each of them are in a different stage. Do you think like I know in my case, right? This was the case. But do you think fatherhood has softened you or has it hardened you? Or like you talking about the authority, right? Like has it like softened you in how you go about things, or has it what how's how yeah, I don't know if you understand what I'm
Yeah, I think soften. Um, I think it's made me more
Mhm.
patient,
Mhm.
um, slower
Yeah.
to respond,
Right.
slower to address something.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's forced me to be uh, to apply the skill or just like the ability to observe
Mhm.
and reflect,
Mhm.
try to understand
Mhm.
before assuming that I fully understand
Yeah.
what is happening,
Right.
right? Yeah, so I think that is something that because I don't have that natural tendency. I
Mhm.
naturally am much more quick.
Yeah. I think as men we don't naturally have that tendency to slow down,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to like our mind is, most of us are solution based. Like we see a problem, try to solve it. That's what we've been wired to do. So I think, like, I know in my case, like I said, like my case is fatherhood caused me to slow down. I'm softer. You know, I'm softer with my family. I'm more, like, I protect it more, but also because of that, I'm also more fierce with anything else that is gonna interrupt this.
yeah. I protect.
Yeah, like I'm super hard on that. Like even to even with my own mother. If I see something that's gonna disrupt this peace, I'm quick to,
Yeah, yeah.
and so, like, fatherhood has, like, I don't have time for any of this nonsense kind of thing. So, like, that's how it's rewired in my brain. Before, like, whatever, I don't care, right? But now it's more like, no, if this is gonna disrupt this right here, nah,
Yeah,
yeah, no. So, like, and that's something, like I was telling you before, right there. That's something that I faced myself, because, like, I would let things just be like, whatever, it's not gonna be, it's not a big deal, and I know it is. And I knew that thing would be, right. So now it's more of like I want to show my son, right, that love is both soft and fierce. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about in the upcoming video. Where love is that. Love is, yeah, it's soft, right? Precious, like, it softens you. But also, love is fierce. Love is like a lion. Like, don't play, right? But love is also tender. Love is also, soft. So, like, and like, as men, I want to show myself. Like, because most of the time we're focused so much on, you got to be the lion. You got to be fierce, 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 protector, protector. Which is, yeah, you do need that, but you also need to be soft. So, like, I love when you said that, you're not imposing authority on them. I love that, because, yeah, like, that's essentially our role is that. Like, you know, I can easily say, porque yo mando, yo digo, right?
yeah, yeah.
But is that the best?
Right. Which I would argue, no, it's not.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I love that you said that. So it's crazy. Like, I would have never thought that. Like, even like you've known each other, like we said, for what, 25 years, right? And, like, we've seen each other in these different stages, and, like, I can honestly say that in your case too. Like, I've seen both cases where you're fierce. Yeah, where you're fierce, not in the sense of, like, cursing people out or anything like that, but more
Yeah.
of just like, no, like, that's it. And then there's cases where I've seen you, like, super soft with your girls, and, like, super, which is, it's a beautiful thing to see. To be honest with you, it's a very beautiful thing to see. What have you learned from your daughters?
I learned this the moment I saw. I could think of the moment in the hospital
Mm-hmm.
when my firstborn was was born. It's probably day one or day two. I remember looking at her, and I remember doing the same thing with each one when they were in the hospital. Just saying, this is gonna go so fast. And I've lived, and I can tell you that I've lived since they were born, being fully aware, being fully cognizant of, sensitive to the fact that time is moving so quickly, right? And despite, they say time flies, right? Despite knowing that, and despite recognizing it from the very beginning, each of them, it hasn't helped to make the journey feel a little bit slow in order to appreciate every moment, every milestone, right? So, what I've learned is, and I will never compromise on this, is cherish the opportunity. Steal that, just saying, whatever. Cherish every opportunity. Don't feel guilty or shame, or shame for missing things, because that's not the point. It's just really about understanding that time to cherish everything.
Yeah. Like I'm laughing at you saying it because that's exactly, I'm thinking of what I've learned from my son, and it's that, like I can say other things too, but that rises to the top just because, like, he just turned one. I remember yesterday telling everybody. I remember FaceTiming you guys, telling you guys, that was about 18 months ago, almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So, um, and it's just crazy how fast, and it's true that they say that, like, how fast this all goes. And I understand, I'm just in year one, you know what I mean? And that's part of the reason why I started doing all this. It was more of just trying to hold on to these moments. Yeah, documenting it, you know what I mean? Holding on to these moments, that I'm never getting back. Like he's never going to be 1 month. He's never going to be one again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, these are the moments that I'm never getting back. So I'm trying to hold on to it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Like I told my wife now, like, our house is a little messier. There's toys everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? There's toys everywhere. There's mess everywhere. Right? And our house was pretty tidy before a kid. You know what I'm saying? And now the mess is everywhere. I'm coming home to to all of this. Right? Sometimes the baby's crying. Right? Or sometimes I'm coming home to just taking a quick shower, making dinner because my wife didn't have time to do it or anything like that. Right? And it's all this chaos. Feels like chaos 24/7. But I constantly tell my wife, like, when he's away, when he's out the house, this is what we're gonna miss. These are the good days. I constantly tell her, like, these are the good.
Yeah, it's for me the moment of grounding for me during the day is when we're having dinner together. And it's like, this feels good. It feels like the one moment it's home. It's like home. It is.
Right. Like everything else feels chaotic at this moment. So we do the same thing. Like as much as, like I said, there are times where unfortunately with work I can't make it, but I try almost every day. We sit down, we all have dinner together. Yeah, and I've been doing that since he was born. Like even when he couldn't eat salads, like, I've always brought him to the dinner with me. We're all eating dinner, right? So like that's the moment where everything else may be chaotic. At this moment right here, feels like home. So for sure. And then I guess a question that I'll have to that, like, what are what are some of your home like non-negotiables? You know, like things that you do on a regular that are non-negotiable for you.
As in terms of like being a parent or
Well, as a household,
yeah,
as what you guys do as a household, like dinner, right? You're talking about dinner.
yeah, that one. So dinner every day together, Monday through Friday. Because Saturday or Sunday we
Doing things.
have a different activities on the day, so or just experience on. And then the nighttime routine. That's been a staple.
Yeah, I love that nighttime. I actually do what I do with him at night because I saw you guys do it.
Yeah,
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 that's my mom stuff that she did with us.
yeah. So it's dinner together, followed by a few moments of playing, and just nothing formal. And then the nighttime routine, which is once they're you know brushing up, brushing their teeth, they go to their beds, and right? And
Say the affirmations.
their affirmations.
Yes, but I love that. Like when I saw you guys do that, I was like, man, that's amazing. I try to not. I don't know, replicate it to that extent, but like I knew, like when Luca was born, like I wanted to do that nighttime routine. Um, what kind of values matter in your household?
So many.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we have them like explicitly written out, but
I guess,
implicitly, I think
yeah, like so, like what are the things that you want the girls to know, right? Once they leave the house, what are the things that you want?
that there is nothing, nothing they can ever do
Mm-hmm.
that will make us love them less, that will make us not be there for them, that if they ever feel
Mm-hmm.
anything, a sense of guilt, shame, loneliness,
Mm-hmm.
anything, sadness, or, on the flip side, many great things, we are here,
Right.
for them. Because I think we always, just human beings, to please, the folks that we love,
Mm-hmm.
right, and those that we care about.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one way that we can show our love, right? But we won't be able to always meet those expectations.
Right.
We won't.
Right.
And that also means them being able to always meet expectations, whether it's because our expectations are off,
Right.
or because they're spot on, but they just didn't meet us, right? Regardless, right? I don't ever want them to feel any sense of judgment from us, because I've seen the harm that causes.
Like for us,
So it's
one of the things that we talk about is we want our home to always be a safe space.
yeah,
Always. Like, we were having a conversation about this, right? Like I want for him to know, I don't care if he's 40, this is always gonna be a safe space in home.
it's your home.
Yeah. Wherever I am, this is always gonna be a safe space. You need a place because your life has hit the fan, whatever, like you always can come home. This is always gonna be a safe space.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this way then. So maybe this gives you helps you out a bit. If 10 years from now, right? No, youngest is 4, so 14 years from now, she's 18. right? You got 18, 22, and then 26, 27, right? Oh, that's dad moment right there. That's a dad joke. So they're watching this.
Yeah.
What would be a message? What would be the message that you give her?
Oh my gosh. I love you so much. I'm proud of who you are right now. So I can't imagine how I am going to be you, regardless of the, the things you accomplished and all of the setbacks and mistakes that you make. Because you will make it. And regardless, and I will be here. I hope to not know that additional life. And I can come and run to us. And I would want them to know that I want future life partner to be very clean. Just not treated like almost he's not, they're not a
Yeah.
because they're just you can't fix that. It's not your job. Yeah, I mean, and I can go on. I can go on.
Yeah.
But those are the things that I am now starting to get acquainted with those concerns. Those concerns.
I can't imagine like when he's 10, the stuff that what I'm gonna be dealing with him, but now that we're thinking about if he sees this 18 years down the line, the thing that I would love to say to him is I'm proud of you. I'll always be proud. Once I found out you were in your mother's belly, I was already proud of you. There's nothing in this world that's gonna make me feel disappointed. You being my son, nothing. Not a mistake. I want you to make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes. Porque así se aprende. I want you to make those mistakes. But because you make them, I'm never gonna be disappointed. I'm proud now. Like there's nothing that's gonna, like if you accomplish great things, amen. Great. But if you're just you, that like I don't know if it's because I've had such a like later in life that I think about these things now. Like I do honestly I do think about maybe, and it's sometimes it's added pressure, and I recognize that. But like I do think about if I make this decision here, it's gonna happen. Can happen 10 years, 20 years down the line. I think about that. I'm asking one more question, all right? Then I'll do a couple of rapid fire questions. All right. What does success as a father really mean to you?
I want to be careful with like oversimplifying things. I think that success. The first thing that comes to mind
These are kind of questions I ask myself a lot. Like, it keeps me checked.
That they that I may be able to hear from them like, that they had no doubt about how much I loved them. And that they were able to see God's love for them through me. So that's one example of success. Regardless of the moment in your life, right? I think another example, and I know that things will change, as things,
Yeah.
but there is a sincere trust, and trust, and that they may be able to also recognize that we're all flawed, that we're not perfect, right? Not to expect perfection if you, because that's not fair. It's not fair. Or perfection for themselves. Right. And that certain perfection is important. And that they treat others with dignity and respect, with love, or empathy. I think that we is a form of success.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I can carry.
So I think when I think about this question, right? What does success as a father mean to me? Right. The first thing I think about is I think I've made it to be a successful dad if they're always gonna feel safe in my house, safe enough to come back. You know, like if they again, if things hit the fan, they're like, yeah, Poppy's got home, Poppy's got a place for me. So I think that definitely defines like a successful fatherhood for me. Well, that the other thing is that he fights for what's right, no matter the cost. He fight for what's right, for justice, for what's right, and then that like loving people, for sure. Um, like I think about that. I think if and then the last thing that I think about is him being confident in who he is. Those are the things that like being confident in who he is. Like if I can accomplish that, like I think my life will be a purposeful life.
It's interesting. Right before you said confident, I was thinking about another example because let's hear you talk and like reflecting on maybe like what I was sharing too. A lot of it was centered. Well, the question is like, what is success as a parent like to you as a father? And the challenge there is that it's we are at the center of that question, right? And therefore our responses are based on that question, right? But I think it's look, I don't want to be pessimistic. There's no guarantee
Right.
to life. We're one human, right? And so I think that something that comes to mind as well is like they be able to become self-dependent to the degree where if I'm not here,
Yeah.
or if we're not here, they will be able to navigate
Mm-hmm.
and thrive
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of that
Mm-hmm. Right.
difficult
Right.
situation.
Yeah. And like, like yeah, like you're right. When we answer this question, we're at the center of it, and I try to be like when I'm saying these things, right? It's uh um it's not it is very centered, me centered, right? Where like yeah, I want him to feel safe in my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's me, right? My house,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or I want him to be confident, right? Or I want him, right, to be loving and caring and fight for what's right, right? Like I do, like it does sound, it is centered around me, but I'm also aware that, and I want him to be aware of this, that even if he's not that,
Mm-hmm.
like like not, doesn't mean that I necessarily failed as a father. No. Even if it's not, if he's not as confident, because I, I may was it fake the fun sometimes because I'm not confident all the time. You know what I mean? So and I know that. So it's like so like, and I know, and I like as I self analyze myself, like I want him to be confident so that he doesn't go through what I go through of the imposter syndrome, the not feeling confident of these whatever, right? So I don't want him to feel that, right? But like even if he does feel that, like it's not. I don't necessarily. I guess I don't want to say that I failed as a dad because that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's not the case for sure.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is like something. I want my child to know that I'm here
Right.
for for him, right? That no matter what,
No matter what, for sure.
I'm your
And it's never gonna not be there.
Yeah.
You know. We got a couple rapid fire questions for you, and this is where
father. Okay.
the hardest age.
Hardest age?
Yeah, the girls.
Oh, for them.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, this this is 10, 6, and 4.
Favorite age.
Um, I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the hardest, but right now it's I feel like although we were in the pool earlier and I was telling um, my wife that because they're all like none of them I'm not holding her water right now because they're all playing independently. I was like I kind of miss holding them. I get a shake.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so
Who's stricter, mom or dad? Most embarrassing dad moment.
so um I don't know, I'm infamous for being like full of dad jokes and being preachy and being like, don't embarrass me, please. Yeah, so there's two of them.
Okay. What do you think were one thing dads worry about too much?
Spending enough time with kids. Am I spending enough time?
Okay. What's one thing that they don't worry too much about?
What they're worrying.
Okay.
or like what they're like. No, I was gonna say something related to like their doctor's appointments.
Okay.
But for me, that's because
Mm-hmm. It's fine
Yeah.
too. The doctor's appointments is fine too, because I don't think about that crap either.
Yeah. So those are the two things that came to mind.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's an advice that you would give a first time dad?
Um, I think it's a little bit of encouragement and advice, which is um, oh man, the moment you start thinking about this, it can't be that rapid fire. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing. It's gonna be okay. You got this, bro. It's like you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be great. Call somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You need to call somebody.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, bro. I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hope you had as much fun as I did.
Thank you so much.